Ladies and gentlemen, we are happy to offer you another interview. We have an expert and a practitioner who is practicing investment, especially from Islamic point of view. So we have Mr. Owaiz Dababoy with us, and I let Mr. Dababoy to introduce himself. Please go ahead. Welcome,
Oh,
sir.
thank you, Dr. Rashid. And it's great to be here and speaking to your audience. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to everybody. My name is Owaiz Dababoy. I'm the Director of Islamic Investing at Saturna Capital, which is the home of the Amana Mutual Funds. It's a company that's been around, the funds have been around since 1986. And there's basically Islamic investing principles is what we use to be able to structure our funds.
Oh, great. So over 3 decades, that's a long history behind it. And
Yes.
we have seen in financial market lots of ups and downs in these 3 decades.
Yes.
So that leads to our next question. What's the difference between investing according to Islamic principles versus regular investing?
Yes, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Wassalatu Wassalam ala Rasulillah. So we start with the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just so we can get on the right track here. Islamic investing is different than regular investing, but many of the companies that we purchase are going to be the same names that other people purchase. So what we do differently is we take out those companies that we know that Muslims would not want to invest in. So there's a set of principles that have been created. There's different governing bodies, right? Organizations that have come up with structures like the Fiqh Council of North America, AOFI, which is the accounting and auditing organization for Islamic financial institutions based out of Bahrain. And so what the guidelines that we are using, it says that we wouldn't buy any company that's involved in banking because of riba or interest, insurance companies for the same reason, typically, right? And then you have alcohol and tobacco and gaming, right? Casinos and whatnot, pornography, tobacco, pork products, etc. So all of those things come out, and that's pretty easy. But the other thing that we do is we look at what the debt levels are for each company, and we also look at interest income and any other kind of haram revenue, and they have to fit within very specific guidelines. And if they don't fit in those guidelines, we cannot purchase the funds. One of the other things that we do is we look at the environmental, social, and governance standards as well. So we're doing very well in that. We don't have any carbon based companies that we own. We have to look at whether a company is socially responsible, whether their board of directors is doing good governance, and their environmental standards as well. So it's not just the Islamic principles, it's also ESG, and we use both of those.
Oh, great. That's beautiful to know. One point I like to know more clarification is you mentioned banking. However, we do have Islamic banking as well. For example, Lariba Guidance and UIF, several of these banking here in DFW Metroplex. So in your consideration, they do consider as halal investment or permissible investment, right?
So for our company, what we started off when we started the Amana Income Fund in 1986 is we decided it was going to be a large company fund. So it's a large value company fund, which means that it has to be a company that is billions of dollars in value, right? Not even like $500 million. These are typically companies that are 20, 30, 40 billion dollars in value, up to $1.5 trillion now with Apple as an example. So we wouldn't be able to buy a small bank stock or something like that, like La Riba, because it's not of the size that is the mandate.
Okay, so they are not mid cap or large cap.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're not even small cap. I mean, they're micro cap in most cases, right? Or not even publicly traded at all.
I see. Great. All right. Thank you. All right. Then next question we have, many of us wonder around whether we should invest or not, especially our family members, co-workers. Sometime when they get new job, they wonder whether should I start a 401k or self-directed brokerage account. So in general, what should your answer be to them? Why should they invest?
Right. So, one of the things you have to look at as just a consumer in the United States is, I'll give you a quick example. Let's say your wife comes to you and says, honey, look, I've been able to save $40,000. And so we're going to be able to go to this state school that we're close to, right? It's 5 minutes away. our son or daughter in 15, 16 years, when they graduate from high school, will go to the school, and the cost is about $40,000. So I'm just going to keep this account because we don't want to earn interest. And so what happens is that 40,000 would be enough for that time. But 16 years later, when your 2-year-old is ready for college and it wants to go to that state school, that $40,000 might cover 2 years of school. So the reason you want to invest is to keep up with inflation or beat inflation. It's the same thing as if you want to go to Hajj. So if you want to go to Hajj next year, because we know we can't go this year, you want to go next year and the cost is, let's say, $8,000, but you don't have the money for it. So you're saving, and you know, to be able to beat inflation, you want to invest the money so that you can get some kind of return, so that you can buy what the future dollars need. Because you know, when I went to Hajj in 90, I think it was 96, I think I paid like $2,500 or $3,000. Now, easily you would pay $8,000 to $15,000 for the same package. So really, it's in order to keep up or beat inflation, so that the value of your money keeps its value, basically.
Oh, great. Yeah, definitely. We want to beat inflation. That's
Yeah.
Many of the common people might not understand, but you have given a good example, time value of money included in there. So besides beating inflation, are there any tax benefits of investing as well?
Yes, there are. There's actually multiple different kinds of accounts. So let's say that same situation where you have the 2-year-old and the wife says, I've saved up this money. What you can do is you can open up an education savings account and you can put money into that. Whatever you're growing the money, the dividends that you're getting, you might be buying and selling a particular fund, you experience no tax consequence at all throughout the time the money is in there. And then if your money has grown, what you'll be able to do is withdraw that money for school expenses and not pay a dime in taxes. But normally, if you have a $10,000 investment and it became $12,000, you're going to pay capital gains on the $2,000. But in the case of an education savings account, you wouldn't need to do that because it's structured to help you that way. There's another different type of product, which is called a health savings account, which the US government has come up with. And you can put, for a couple, a family, you can put up to $7,000 into it. You can get a tax deduction for whatever dollars you put into it. You don't pay any tax along the way on dividends or capital gains. And when you withdraw it at any given time for medical, dental, or vision, you pay no tax. So there's triple tax advantage there. And then just a quick, another example would be retirement accounts, right? So if you have a 401k at work, you're making $70,000 a year, you put in 10,000 into the 401k. If you have the traditional 401k, that 10,000 is now not going to be taxed. So instead of being taxed on 70,000, you're going to be taxed on 60, and you'll pay the tax when you withdraw the money down the road. The other way to do it though is a Roth 401k, and with that you will be taxed on the full $70,000 income. But when you put that 10,000 in there and it grows over time, you will not pay tax when you withdraw it because you already paid tax. So those are the, I mean, there's more than that, but those are three in a nutshell that I can give you very quickly here.
Oh, well, super. Yeah, most of us aware of Roth IRA versus traditional IRA, tax advantage of those, but you did have mentioned some other educational savings. Nowadays, we also see some companies, even public television also, advertising about that educational fund, which we can materialize, more sooner than the retirement, which is not available until, later in the life. So those are the good examples that's available. Right. Educational especially, is it also applicable for under, K through 12 grade or only higher educations?
Right, so if you go to a typical bank or investment company and you purchase a 529 plan, you would only use that for college expenses. But you cannot buy anything that is based on Islamic principles. So you will not be doing it according to, halal way of doing things, right? So the other option is an education savings. You can put up to $2,000 per year into it. And if you have expenses, let's say the child turns 18 and gets a full scholarship to college, but you had private school expenses, right? So you have these invoices, you can take the money out based on the private school all the way from kindergarten to 12th grade, whatever you have. So that's a great benefit.
Yep, yep. Thank you very much for informing us about this. Some of us weren't aware of it, so I think our audience would be able to take advantage of this kind of investment vehicles and get tax advantage from it. All right, thank you. And then next question we have, nowadays we have seen, COVID-19 related pandemic and stock market, touched
Mhm.
its bottom kind of around like 17, 18,000 Dow Jones Industrial Average. So oftentimes, we hear, and you probably heard it many times, that I want to buy, low or enter in the market low and then, sell high. So what kind of, advice or response would you give those folks who want to wait until,
Right.
see the low point?
Yeah, if you go back to 1928, all the way back to 1928 until now, and we're talking about the S&P 500, which was not S&P 500 back then, it was a smaller number of companies. S&P 500 is basically the largest 500 companies in the United States, right? To use an easy way to express this. If you go back from 1928 until now, the average return has been 9.6% per year on average. Now, if you have a 7% return, you double your money every 10 years. So imagine 9.6% is going to do much better than that. This includes the Great Depression. This includes, the stock market crash in 1987, the tech bubble. It includes September 11. It includes the Great Recession 2008. It includes earlier this year, right? The
Mhm.
pandemic crash of the first quarter. So even with all of that, it is able to maintain this because 72% of the time the market is up. 72% of the years the market is up, right? So you have more up years historically speaking than down years. So have invested back in 2000 and you look at it now, you wouldn't say, hey, you know what, I tripled my money, but man, back in 2007, that was really a bad day on October 3rd. You don't care, right? Because you have a long time horizon. You also cannot time the market. If you try to time the market, you're going to be left behind. So when the market was down to 17 or 18,000, the Dow Jones, people didn't buy because they were afraid and they were waiting for it to go lower. So what happened? 40% increase in this, and people now are saying, I want to wait until it goes back down to 17 or 18,000. It may not ever occur, right? So you lose your opportunity. So if you have a long time horizon, don't worry about the day-to-day shifts, right? Look at the long-term averages. That's the way to look at this. And I want to give you one other point real quickly on the Islamic investing piece that I didn't mention, which is really the crux of the matter for most of us, right? We live our Islamic life with praying 5 times a day, inshallah, reading the Quran, fasting the 30 days of Ramadan, and all of the things, making dhikr, etc. But then on our money side, we're not doing the right things a lot of times, right? We have a regular mortgage, we have other kinds of loans, and we are investing willy-nilly. However we want to do it, we're putting money in high debt companies, in companies that have haram revenues and all of that. So if you want to live a complete Islamic life, this is the way to do it. The other thing I'll mention on this is at passing, when we pass away, many people have lived a great life, even with their money Islamically. When they pass away, their inheritance is not written. So now all of their money goes to their spouse or to one child when it's meant to go to multiple people. So, the Prophet ﷺ has said that any person that has something to will should not travel for 2 days without having a will. So, I would couple those two things together. Money is usually left behind. Don't really understand that they need to do something Islamic with that, and also what happens after our death as well.
Oh, those are very beautiful examples you have shared. Thank you very much. I think our audience would be really benefited from your knowledge. Last question I want to ask you, many of us, my colleagues and other friends in the community, they sometimes kind of skeptical investing, especially, this kind of securities. They go toward the real asset, like, real estate or other solid businesses where they can see it, touch it and feel it, this kind of mentality. I know some other, when I try to, give lectures on Islamic investment, they try to raise question sukuk, for example,
Sure.
how sukuk you can categorize as Islamic investment, what is, corporate bond or government bond can, function similar way. So what would be your response to those kind of questions?
Well, so first of all, when people say I starting off, you're 22 years old, you just got your first job, and you want to save up to buy a house, or you had a kid and you can't go buy a house to do that. You don't have enough assets to do that with, right? You don't have enough assets to go buy a house, down payment or anything. So investing in the stock market actually allows you to start with as little as $100 or $250 in a regular account. You can't do that buying a home. So what stock market investing allows you to do is to build up enough capital to buy a home, right? So you should have many different goals in mind, and real estate might actually help you to get there. But how are you going to save for your children's education? Maybe it's through a home, I don't know. Retirement certainly can be through a home, but it also can be through investments. You have other goals. Maybe you want to start a business, you need some capital. You're not going to invest in a home to do that, right? So it's an easy way, and also proven again since 1928 to be an excellent historical return, right? We don't know we never talk about the future. We just say what is special purpose vehicles that are used, and they're basically agreements, right? So for example, we have on our website a quick 3-minute video on this. If you have Emirates Airlines, for example, right, they issued a $1 billion sukuk to buy some planes. Now, what the sukuk owners will do is there'll be a special purpose vehicle created, and the planes that they want to purchase will be in this special purpose vehicle. The sukuk owners are the ones that own the planes. So these planes here then are rented, basically rented by Emirates Airlines, and Emirates is buying back those planes and also is paying rent for them. And so it's better than debt, because for example, if you do something through American Airlines and give them $1 billion worth of a bond, you don't own the special purpose vehicle. All you own is debt. Debt doesn't have any value once the company goes bankrupt in most cases. So if Emirates Airlines goes under, you still have this asset that you to Etihad or whoever you want to sell it to. It's a low risk, it's not in the stock market, and it's a way to actually diversify your portfolio.
Okay, great. I think those are very excellent responses we have received from you. I think our audiences who have those kind of questions, I think they will have a little bit more clear thinking in future when they try to make any decision, especially for, investment and future, and for their, children as well. I think, this was a very great and productive session for our audience, and we would like you become more successful in your career and directing Saturna, and may God bless you. May peace be upon you and for the entire community. Thank you very much, Mr. Dababoy.
Thank you as well, Dr. Rashid, for inviting me. And also, if we're going to have on Monday, we're going to have a special presentation for our clients. I'll send you that invitation. If you want to send it to your group, you can. It's going to go more in depth to this. And I'll also offer that you may have people in different parts of the country or the different parts of the state. If they would like a special presentation made for their masjid, just like this, we're not really doing a sales job. It's an educational talk, just so people can get interested and then they can learn more. I really didn't mention the name of my company except for in the beginning, and that's the way I like to do it. I just like to get people interested in the concept of saving for their own goals, and then we can go from there. So very happy to have that opportunity. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you. We'll put the information of your full contact company's information in our article, so that people who are interested to learn more, they can visit your website and learn more information about your company.
Thank you.
Thank you again. May God bless you. Thank you.